Joining us now on the line, the one and the only Curtis Ellis. Curtis, live today in D.C. I couldn't make it down here, but we got him on the phone. Curtis is a senior policy advisor for America First Policies, the only sanctioned political action committee for the president of the United States re-election campaign. And he's with us now. Curtis, great to have you, man.
Hey, great to be here. I wish I was there with you in the bunker, in Steve Bannon's bunker. I'm very jealous. You are in, like, the coolest spot in town right now.
It is cool. It is kind of a bunker. I like that, Curtis. Bannon,
the bunker, the war room bunker. This is
war
like
room
Churchill's
bunker?
War room. This is like Churchill's war room. Go to London. Next time you're in London, you have to tour the war room that Winston Churchill ran the war effort for the British war effort from there. And it's a bunker. It's underground.
It's like Churchill's bunker war room here in Bannon's basement.
That's right.
I like that. Hashtag Bannon's war room, right? Bannon's bunker.
I'm sure Nigel and Hassam,
Nigel's coming.
Steve Bannon, I'm sure they all went and toured Churchill's bunker. They had to.
Right, Churchill's bunker. That's what I feel
like.
It's
right there at St. James. It's right there in the basement of the War Ministry. It's great.
I know, and it's kind of got a bunkerish feel to it also, because I've got I still haven't found where the coffee is, so I bring a thermos every day. That's pretty sad.
When I heard there's no coffee, that's why I'm on the phone here.
I know, that's pretty sad, right? They don't even have a coffee thing, that I bought. Well, Lewandowski didn't have one either, so my wife had to go out and buy him one. He didn't have one either. He said, I'm not buying that. It's $200. Ann said, all right, I'll buy. So she goes to the store, buys it. And so kind of like made his 2017. Anyway, Curtis, let's get to Nancy Pelosi. Now, she goes with this vote Thursday, but what is this vote? Is it a vote to sanction what they're doing? What is it?
I'm not sure. It's very unclear. Is it a vote to open an inquiry? Is it a vote to? Yeah, I'm not sure what the heck this vote's about. What are they voting for? They're voting to give Adam Schiff, to let Adam Schiff to do whatever he's doing right now, and that's very irregular. Usually the Judiciary Committee oversees all the impeachment stuff, but she doesn't like who's on. She doesn't like the fact that Jim Jordan and Doug Collins are on the Judiciary Committee and make a very strong case for the president. So she's moved it over to the Intelligence Committee, where she doesn't have such bright lights on the Republican side.
But she says now she's moving it back to Nadler's committee.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what she said today.
I missed that. Jeez.
Or last evening. Yeah, she said she's moving it back. They're doing the inquiry, and part of it is going to go back to Nadler because maybe, she was upset with Nadler because he screwed up the whole Lewandowski thing and made a spectacle of the whole thing. Lewandowski ate his breakfast there. So then he gave it a Schiff, and Schiff was worse. Now she's going back to Nadler. I don't think she's got the team in place.
I don't know. Maybe it'll end up in the Transportation Committee because this is a railroad job, that's for sure.
Very good one. Ends up at the Transportation Committee. All right, Curtis, how does this thing play out now?
Well, you have to keep in mind, you have to remember that this is the pre-buttal to the Horowitz report, and it's like a DC law firm. It's Horowitz, right. Durham, and Barr, right?
Right.
Horowitz, Durham, and Barr. The Inspector General of the Department of Justice, who's been looking into the FISA warrant and all the nonsense that predicated the whole Russia collusion Mueller probe. You've got Durham, who's doing a criminal investigation into the same thing, all of the shenanigans and the dirty tricks by the intelligence community and people like Comey and Strzok and et cetera, that whole cast of clowns. And then you've got Barr, who's overseeing it all and has the one guy with the guts to take on the intelligence community, the FBI, the CIA, and all the deep state swamp creatures. So they're coming out with their reports, and that's proceeding down. That's bearing down on the Democrats. So what the Democrats and Pelosi are doing with this impeachment thing is a pre-buttal. They're not going to wait to rebut it because they know they'll be crushed by the evidence. They know they're guilty as sin. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to change the subject and change it from the foreign interference by Democrats in the 2016 election to this made-up story of President Trump seeking foreign interference in the 2020 election. So I think that they're going to get their impeachment vote. They're going to vote to impeach the guy. Nancy Pelosi knows that the Senate will not convict him because there's nothing there. But what they're really trying to do is take the spotlight off the fact that they will be absolutely destroyed when the evidence comes out that a counterintelligence investigation was opened against the Trump campaign, that Hillary Clinton got the FBI and all of its dirty tricks department going back to J. Edgar Hoover to work against Donald Trump as the candidate, President-elect Trump, and President Trump. This is the biggest scandal in American history. The Democrats are guilty as sin, up to their eyeballs involved in it, and the cover-up following it. They spent $20 million, and the whole Mueller probe was part of the cover-up. We'll deploy investigators and we'll have them investigate everything but what really happened, and that'll be the cover. People, look over there, don't look here, look over there. That's where the crime was committed, and that was the cover-up. Mueller was the cover-up for the crime, and so the first purpose, there's a few purposes going on here. There's a few reasons. So it's kind of, look, they know they're going to be destroyed by the Durham and the Horowitz report, so they're playing the old Cold War game of mutually assured destruction.
Right.
They want to blow us up, so we're going to blow up the president, right? Now, if criminal indictments start coming down, they may back off, but it'll be too late. The impeachment vote's going to be held, and they're going to impeach the guy, and they think maybe it'll cripple them and help one of their weak sisters that's running for president, because they need all the help they can get. And then further, it furthers their long-term goals. One of the long-term goals is warn any future Donald Trump-type candidate from ever entering the ring. Mm-hmm. We will stop at nothing to destroy you. The deep state, the permanent government, will destroy you. They will ask for your tax returns. They'll take apart your business dealings going back to the first time you sold lemonade on the corner, and they'll take apart your family. They will tie you up with so much legal action that you'll never see the light of day again. Don't enter the political arena. This is for professional politicians only. That's the message they're sending. And even if they don't impeach him, even if they don't get him removed from office, they will have, it serves like a head on the pike, warning other future people, don't come down this road, danger lies ahead.
Or it will make your life hell, a living hell.
Yeah, exactly. And basically
we'll
wall off
you.
Government from people.
Right,
yeah.
And we'll bankrupt you. Right.
Yeah, and we'll bankrupt you. And the other thing you notice, it's interesting, all of the conceit of these no-think reporters, these prostitutes, the conceit seems to be, we don't need elected officials.
Right.
We don't need an elected government because we have this permanent government. Look at this. Oh, how dare he fire a diplomat? Well, the president is allowed to appoint diplomats. If he just wanted freckle-faced redheads to be diplomats, he could do that. He could fire every diplomat and just appoint freckle-faced redheads to every diplomatic post in the world. He's got the right to do that. How dare he overrule the deputy under-assistant secretary for hoo-ha in the Pentagon and not release the military aid.
Right.
And there's always, he overrode the Foreign Service. He went against the advice of this bureaucrat or that bureaucrat. Mm-hmm. He used his own envoys to conduct foreign policy.
Yeah, well, that's why we elected him.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's why we elected him, so we could override, the permanent, as you call it, Curtis, the permanent government in Washington. You're on the John Fredericks Radio Network. You're Godzilla, the Truth in America. Great to have you with us. We're with Curtis Ellis. Curtis, Senior Policy Advisor and America First Policy's PAC #1, the only sanctioned political action committee for the re-election of President Trump in 2020. Curtis also served on the transition team. He served with Steve Bannon in the war room at Trump Tower. He was part of Steve's communication team during the campaign, and he was also a government official at the Department of Labor. So he's got quite the long history. And I know, remember when we went there in the final couple of days, and Steve and Kellyanne let us come in and do our show there. Remember? And,
I remember that. I'll never forget that. Election night, we were there.
That was a fun 2 days we had. I guess it was Monday and Tuesday we were there for those 2 days, or I think it was Friday. I think it was 3 days: Friday, Monday, Tuesday. But we had that was something else. We were the only media people allowed in there in America live. We were right in the war room. Curtis, I want to change gears a minute, if I may. I want to get to the negotiations right now with the Chi-Coms. And, again, they roll out something. It looks like we're going to have a deal where they're going to buy $8 bajillion million of soybeans or something. They always say they're going to buy stuff, and they never buy it. But if you're the Chi-Coms right now, and you're looking at the president facing impeachment, and you're looking at his poll numbers, and you're looking at Kamala Harris and others saying, and Biden, elect me, I'll get rid of the tariffs the next day.
Right.
Why are you going to deal?
Well, exactly right. This is what the American people are disgusted about with the impeachment spectacle. They understand that this has real-world consequences. The Democrats are playing political games. As I laid out before, there is no substantive case for impeaching the president. It's all about politics. They're trying to protect their own butts, and they're trying to weaken him. They are using the instruments of government, the legislative branch, for political ends to help whoever is going to be running against President Trump in 2020. That is an abuse of power. That is an abuse of power. That is politicizing the legislative branch of government, politicizing the government functions. But it's having real-world consequences because the Chinese are looking at this and saying, we're going to get a better deal from one of these next guys, and it looks increasingly like this guy's not going to get reelected. I think they're wrong there, but they're not too clever in some ways. They don't understand the functionings of electoral democracy. That's clear. And in instance after instance, the Chinese Communists is the greatest threat we face right now, and they have no reason to believe they should make a deal with Donald Trump because you've got the Democrats just screwing this whole thing up. And the people understand that. See, the American people understand that, and they say they're just playing politics. They're not doing the job, and it's weakening our country. And it's really despicable. And our nation should be united as one to face the threat of communist China. Instead, all the cable networks are talking about day in, day out, all the time is impeachment, Ukraine, and Russia.
Right.
Ukraine is a mess. Always has been a mess. That's why there are so many Ukrainians living in America. Going back to the 1800s, they came over here. There's a million Ukrainians living in Argentina. They couldn't wait to get out of there. But then again, they came from Italy and all kinds of places, which are now kind of nice. But anyway, there is, and Russia is a joke as far as being a geopolitical threat to the United States. They have nuclear weapons. They have submarines that fall apart and blow up and underneath the water, and they have a population that's dying of cirrhosis.
Right, that's right.
They are not a threat. China is the threat. We should be focused on that like a laser. We should be doing everything we can to rebuild our country, and instead they're playing these political games. It's really
the Chinese are not. I mean, look, they're just going to jawbone and talk. They're not going to do anything. They're just going to wait this out. And if you're calculating now and you're the Chi-Coms, and that's what they do, they long-term plan and calculate. They see this president has a 50-50 chance of either being impeached or not getting elected or reelected. And so they're going to hope for one of the Dems when they get rid of the tariffs and they can go back to stealing from us and ripping us off and outsourcing our jobs. And the supply chains stay there, which has been their goal. Of course, this whole effort is to bring the production supply chain back to the U.S. That's what the president has attempted to do. And so the Chinese don't want that. So that is exactly what's going to happen. John Fredericks Show with Curtis Ellis. Curtis, we got a couple more minutes. Let's get to the settlement the other day with the auto workers in the Midwest. Looks like both sides came to terms. I know the president was very active in that behind the scenes, trying to get that settled for the workers. How do you think that played out for them, Curtis?
Well, they've got to wonder if how much money a lot of the workers, how much money did they lose with that 4-week, 6-week strike, and how much they're going to make up if they're going to sharpen their pencils around the kitchen table and say, was it worth it? This was long term. The auto workers have a big problem, and it's called electric vehicles. Mm-hmm. There are far fewer parts in an electric vehicle, and there's going to be far fewer people making it, used to make it. We've got to get that production back inside the United States.
That's right.
And that's the goal here. That's got to be the goal. That's the big problem. And that goes right back to what you were just saying about we've got to get the production back to the United States, out of East Asia, and to keep our people employed, to have good jobs for Americans. The other thing is the corruption inside the United Auto Workers Union, and that was an issue because part of the settlement, they closed this plant, this training center where you had corrupt union officials allegedly skimming money off of the budget of this training facility to feather their own nests. That was closed. That was part of the agreement. So
you're right.
There was a tacit agreement, a tacit acknowledgement that there was something fishy going on over there.
Well, we were happy to see that it worked out, get those workers back on the job. We got the holidays coming up, so we're happy about that. So Curtis Ellis with us. So Steve Bannon just comes in, getting ready for his 9 to 10 War Room Impeachment Episode 9. So, Curtis, you got to get the picture here in this War Room that you just branded as, what did we call it?
The bunker.
Bannon's bunker. Bannon's War Room bunker. So he comes in. It's kind of like the general comes in. I mean, it's kind of exciting, right? Bannon comes in, he sits down. He's got his coffee and his Red Bull. He's got his green jacket on. It's like the general comes in, and then his lieutenants come in, and we're at the War Room table. And I got to just paint a picture for the audience. I was pretty exciting because you're like, okay, what does General Bannon have to say today? How are we going to go forward? How are we going to navigate our way out of this? And I was saying the other day, and I've only got a minute, but you know what it reminds me of, Curtis? He kind of reminds me of Stonewall Jackson, right? Because Jackson wanted to win the war, right? Everybody else was like, oh, defensive war. Jackson was like, no. Give me 10,000 troops. Let me go to Washington. I'll take that. Then I'll cut off the B&O railroad, and I'll cut the supply chain off to Maine, and then we'll sue for peace and win. It was like Bannon's like Stonewall Jackson. So he's in here. He's ready to go. That's it here in the John Fredericks Show. I want to thank Curtis Ellis for being with us